Hello, everyone. So, we're going to give you an update of what happened today in our ministry. Basically, Ryan and I went to have a meeting with the facilitators for Kairos, and afterwards, it was a really good meeting. And afterwards, we went to Bo's Coffee to just prepare some of the materials that we need to be doing for Monday. And I was sitting down, and while Ryan was getting coffee, and then there's a huge table and there was two seats in front of us. They were empty, but the other one has like a laptop, but there was nobody there. And so basically, after a few minutes, the people came. There's two of them. They're friends. Their names are Omar and Suli. And so they're from Somalia. Basically, I asked because he was speaking in was speaking in Cebuano. So I was asking like, "Hey, like, are you here? Like, how long have you been here in the Philippines?" And he said like 5 years. And so he kind of like knows a little bit of Cebuano. But I got to talk to him about the Lord. He's Muslim, by the way, and he was very bold about it. But I was able to share the gospel and explain to him like our salvation through Christ by faith in him. And Ryan was able to like add more to it with like explanation. And what did you say?
So one of the things that Omar, who's the guy we were talking to, one of the things he mentioned was that he had never experienced or met anyone who wasn't Muslim until he moved out of Somalia. And so that, just so you have context, like Somalia is 99.6% Muslim. And people there they're Muslim raised and they die Muslim. There's no other option there at all, no other religion options. He said he moved to Sudan, which is like 93% Muslim, and then he moved to the Philippines. He's been studying at Silliman for 5 years, but it was the first time he'd experienced Christianity, and he's like been exposed to it a little bit. You know, he said he's been to churches before for like special events, but not like for a church service. And so one of the things that he said, though, was how he believed Jesus was a prophet, but not God. And then he mentioned that, that he's open-minded to other faiths and like learning about them. And he mentioned the word truth. Like, he says if something was true, then he would look into it more or like, dedicate more time to it. And so that really opened up a door for me to talk about Jesus in the way of him being the way, the truth, and the life, and saying that no one can come to God apart from Jesus unless they go through Jesus. And I used the word Allah because that word Allah literally just means God in Arabic. And so, when Jesus said, "I am the way, the truth, the life," he means that for all people, not just those of, where the word God, which is Germanic, comes from. And so I was able to have a conversation with that. Cherubie did a wonderful job, like opening up the door and like really building rapport with this guy. And so it was incredible because the Lord just gave me words, and that I first of all, we've never ministered to a Muslim person before, ever. And at first I was really hesitant, and I had this position where it's like, you know what? I'm afraid this person, like we're giving away too much information to this person because now they know where we stay. We know we're here for 2 months. They know we're here. We have a missions organization and we're Christians. And we're here on a mission trip. All these conversations came up, all these details. And then so my mind went from being kind of on alert and being afraid to, you know what, this guy has probably just never met Christians before. He has no idea at all. He's a Muslim because that's just what you are if you're from Somalia, and you don't have another option. That is what it is. And so my mind obviously went to like jihad first, but that wasn't necessarily the case with this guy. So we had a good conversation. I let him know that like some of the words the Lord gave me, and it's probably a lot of detail, but I said to him, Jesus was there in the beginning, and there's over 300 prophecies that have been fulfilled about Jesus from the Old Testament, and no man could have planned that out over no amount of time. And then all the archaeological evidence that's been found, and he even agreed that there has been plenty of archaeological evidence found that supports the Bible. And that's when the conversation about truth came up. And so for me to bring that up, and then I said to him that, it's not about religion or going to a church. I said that when you have a relationship with God and you're around other believers, that is what church is. And I said to him that even the religious rulers of Jesus' day were upset and offended by him, so much so that they're trying to say, well, hey, we are children of Abraham, right? And we have Abraham as our father. We don't need you. And Jesus said to them, of course, in John chapter 8, I think, he said, before Abraham was, I am. And I said, so Jesus was there at the beginning of creation, right? He was the one who the world was created through. And I don't know if you know this, but Muslims and Christians and Jews all claim back to being children of Abraham. Christians are spiritually children of Abraham, Jews physically, and then Muslims claim physically through Ishmael, through Hagar. And so that was like a key thing for him to hear. He was so attentive in listening to that. And so I said, but you know what? Jesus was greater than Abraham. That's why he said before Abraham was, I am. He was claiming to be God by claiming to be the way, the truth, and the life, by claiming to be greater than Abraham. And I invited him to church and said, if you do care about the truth, here's an invitation. Here's a church that you can go to, and it's not going to be anything funny. They're not going to ask for your money. They're not going to ask for you to participate or anything, but you can go. There's a few worship songs, and then they're going to open up the Bible, and they're going to teach from that. And I said, if you want to learn the truth, and if you want to learn the Bible, visit. And so it was really cool talking with him. Like I said, we've never ministered to a Muslim before, and it was like definitely a divine appointment for sure. And so that was our prep this early afternoon. And then later in the evening, we went out to the boulevard with some of the students from the Bible College, and Max was there. Grace was there, who's recording right now. And we went out 2 by 2, just witnessing to people on the boulevard. And Max had a really cool testimony to share, kind of a takeaway for that.
Hello. We went out. What's it called again? That area?
Boulevard.
The Boulevard. Yeah, we went out there in pairs. All the students plus me, honorary student, and we just walked around, and whoever we were led to talk to, we talked to. The student I was paired with spoke in Visayan, and so when he was talking, I didn't really understand what he was saying, but I knew the gist of it because it's just the gospel. And so it was really interesting because people here are open to talking, and that's not something that I'm used to coming from Las Vegas, where I passed out Bibles on the strip before, and they'll ignore you or just straight up curse you out. So it was definitely a different experience, but it was nice. It was nice to share the gospel, and even one woman said, we asked if we could pray for her, and she said, yeah, only you pray because my religion is different from yours. And so it was interesting that people are so open, even though they come from different backgrounds and have all these insane life experiences, but the Lord supersedes all that. So that was cool.
It's a good experience. If I can say one more thing, just to summarize everything, okay? You never really know what someone is going to, you never really know how someone's going to react to when the gospel is shared and what's possible in their life and what they might do in life, right? We don't know if that gospel being shared on the boulevard is going to impact somebody and they're going to minister to their village somewhere or their neighborhood or their family. We don't know if these guys from Somalia, after they're done studying here in college, what if they got saved? What if they go back to Somalia where it's 99.6% Muslim, where people have never even heard of the gospel? Or if he moves back to Sudan where it's 93%, maybe that's his forward operating base. Like, you don't know who you're talking to when you're sharing the gospel and what God is capable of doing through certain people. And so I think that as an encouragement, like, we need to get out of our comfort shells and really minister to people regardless of how we feel, because you just don't know the impact that one word or one, conversation is going to have on the whole world. It's very possible that, a movement could start out of, Somalia if this guy gets saved and goes back to his nation. It happens often where someone, after they graduate, they go back to their country where they came from. So just, don't be afraid. Don't be scared to use the gifts that God's given you.
So yeah, to close, we're so grateful for Bible College, CCBC, for allowing the students to join us, and we actually celebrated through eating balut and tempura and all the fish balls and all the street foods at the boulevard, and they get to share their experience. And some of us, we experienced opposition and spiritual warfare. People are very open to the gospel, but some of them are like, yeah, I already know that. I've already received. I already know that. Like, But you know what? We share the gospel, and I encouraged them, like, don't be discouraged when you face trials and opposition, because, rejection, it's part of life, and they're not basically like rejecting you, they're rejecting the gospel. So it's their choice, but we are just obedient to what the Lord has called us to go out and preach and share the gospel. So we're so grateful for the Bible College for allowing us to spend time with the students, and Max get to know some of them. And yeah, so thank you so much, guys, and we will give you more information and updates of what's gonna come next, but we're excited to what God is going to do next week for Kairos. So thank you so much. We'll see you soon. Bye.
See ya.
Bye, Grace.